Good evening and welcome to the Obelisk. Tonight's guest, we welcome back Micah Dank. Micah was born in 1983 in Oceanside, New York. From a young age, he had wanted to be a writer, coming from a family of writers. His father was a producer and a radio news editor at CBS News in Manhattan, and his grandfather was a producer at CBS News. Micah was an actor in high school and became interested in writing from his 12th grade English teacher, Russell Reid. From there, he majored in English at SUNY Albany and transferred down to CUNY Hunter College in Manhattan to earn his bachelor's degree in language, literature, and criticism. It wasn't until he moved to Boston for a new job that he became interested in all the esoteric sciences, including the astrology and astrotheology prevalent through his book series. Micah, welcome back to the show.
I missed you guys.
We missed you more. Monstrous. It's monstrous. Good. How's it going with you? I think it were. God. It's hot by you, but it's cool down here. That's pretty weird. A lot of rain. A lot of rain. It's going to rain all week. That's nothing. 89, Jesus.
With the 70s, oh my God, 75 is my dream weather.
Yeah.
My favorite's 69.
Jerry, I thought you were in Florida already.
Another month.
Good Lord. Okay, so time's going super fast. Or your move to Florida.
Oh, you're moving.
I'm moving to Florida.
Where are you going in Florida?
Venice, Sarasota area.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Say hi to Hulk Hogan for me.
Does he live down there?
I think so.
Okay. If I see him, I will. Do you know him?
No.
Okay. I'll just wave then.
I do have a T-shirt of his though. It's him dressed up like Mother Teresa, and the shirt says
That's awesome.
Holy crap.
So last time you were on, you walked us through your decoding of the Bible and how it correlated with the zodiac, which was really fascinating.
Did I just assume that your listeners can either look that up or have already listened to it?
I would not assume that they've already listened to it, but you can assume that they can look it up. They're not idiots.
No, I didn't mean it like that. Okay, fair enough. But do you guys remember any of the information from last time? Because I'm going to go through it again.
Right, you went through your slide.
Oh, wait a minute. People aren't hearing us.
I just got a message from someone saying our sound, they only hear you, Jerry.
They only hear me.
I got that on
You had some good stuff.
Yeah, your last show is good, and you've toured with that.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
I think we're having. Can everyone hear us? I'm not in the chat, so I can't get the feedback. But I hear all of you. So I hear Micah and Jerry.
Oh, yeah, you're really low.
I am? Everything's normal on my end right now.
That makes no sense.
Oh, yeah, you're really low.
Now I hear you in echo.
All right, folks, hold on. We'll get it fixed.
This is Kool-Aid time.
It's Gatorade time.
Our Gatorade time, that's right, which is Mercury retrograde.
What the fuck? I think it's maybe Zoom. No. right, say something.
Check. Testing.
Testing 1 2. Hello, are we being
All right, say
heard?
something.
Check. Testing.
Oh, it's really low. That's weird.
So it's not just my end though, because it's Micah and me.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna restart OBS.
It's a burn.
Meow. I'm gonna restart OBS. Meow. I'm gonna restart OBS. Why is that so low? This makes no sense because. Why is that so low? This makes no sense. All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. All right.
You back?
Checking.
For live, can you both hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Back?
Checking. Checking. No, you guys are still low. Fuck. I don't know how to fix this.
I just create a new Zoom.
I don't know if that'll help.
Start a new Zoom share.
Let me try this.
But remember, I'm only on this one computer, so you have to send it to my...
No, I know.
Yeah, you have to email me it too.
No, I can see now that it's really low. Yeah, when you guys are talking, I can see where it's low now. Yeah, when you guys are talking, go ahead. It is. It shouldn't be though. Advanced audio properties, okay. Say something now.
Check. Testing. 1 2. Testing.
Hello.
Oh. How about now?
Testing. 1 2.
No, it's not going up.
1 2 Zoom. 1 2 Zoom.
Arg. Arg. This is crazy.
I hear us echoing.
This is crazy.
I hear us echoing.
This is crazy. Got a cool loop going now.
Yeah, it's getting very crazy. It's getting experimental music going now.
Any beats?
We need some beats. You gonna boombox for us?
I don't got any bars, so I can't help you. Beats?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll be back in a second, folks. You there? I can't hear you.
Hello, hello.
Hello. No, you guys are still low.
I hear you.
Oh, I know what's wrong. I know what's wrong. I think.
This is very weird.
I think I know what's going on.
You figured it out?
No.
What are you saying?
I know someplace to look, though.
I mean, we're gonna lose the audience. Should I just start taking my clothes off?
Oh, yes. I'll get on the drum set and we'll do a little striptease burlesque style.
There we go.
Mm.
You're gonna have to talk about my beard all over again, Nish.
I know everyone missed that. Dag nabbit.
Dag nabbit. I don't know.
I have terrible tech issues right now, Jer. Like everything that's attached to this phone doesn't work. Like all the apps.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What's this application called? Shit. I know there's. Okay, hold on a second.
Have you checked with the chat to see if they're hearing us at all?
I can see that the levels are low for you guys.
Saying anything in the chat?
Is it still low, guys? In the chat? And yes, it's still low. It's still low. Worst case, we'll just record it.
They actually hear us all though. They just hear. They hear us, but it's low.
Right, like my volume is almost 3 times as loud as yours.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun 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 dun.
Okay, turning it up on my end only makes it louder in my ear.
Well, you could turn your gain up, but your volume down. But you're loud. You're fine in my ear. This is what doesn't make any sense. I can see that the. I don't know. All the levels are fine except just in OBS. They're not.
This is very strange. Do you need to use OBS to live stream?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I've got everything cranked up. All right. One other thing I can check is this.
This is our Mercury retrograde show.
Yeah, hell yeah. It's the intro.
You guys know who Jordan Maxwell is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
My friend Chris from Forbidden Knowledge News. Have you heard of them? Him?
Yeah.
I think so.
He's at a UFO conference right now, and he just posted on Facebook a picture with him and Maxwell. And I told him, I told him to mention to Maxwell like what his work means to me and like how it's like inspired me and everything, and this, that, and the other thing. And they're having dinner tonight, so he's gonna talk to him about that. So at the very least, I know Jordan Maxwell is gonna learn about me.
We've had Jordan on. Jordan's a dear heart. We love him.
Mm-hmm.
He is. You should. He has his own show too. You know, he's very approachable.
Yeah.
No, he is, but he's so damn hard to reach on email.
Oh, I think he gives his number out. I'm not going to give it out.
He doesn't have a phone number.
He's got that house phone where he's living.
I didn't think he had a number.
Or maybe I shouldn't say that.
No, I knew that.
Okay.
I knew that. I've been following him for a while.
Yeah. Oh, he has been such a credit to all of us. He trailblazed. He's amazing. He was one of the first out there.
I'll be happy with him just knowing what I do and knowing the fact that like I've got my publicist talking to a TV producer right now who's currently reading my second. He already read my first. He's reading my second book right now. By the end of the week, we might have take us on.
Oh, that's very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Premature, but we're projecting that it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So what publisher are you able to say?
Yeah, it's Speaking Volumes.
Oh, okay.
They're pretty famous. They have award-winning authors all over.
Yeah, I guess I just missed that earlier.
But the interesting thing too is I went to my publisher's website, like I'm on it, right? But out of everybody that's on it, I went through everybody. I'm like 25 years younger than everyone. I'm the youngest person they have.
Well, it's time a little new blood comes in.
Yeah.
How old are you?
37.
Okay. They, got to take it, roll it back and let some of the new guys in.
Right. I'm not too young anymore. I just had a shoulder replacement.
Oh, Jesus. Were you playing football or something?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I used to be a big weightlifter, and I tore my labrum, and they surgically fixed it, but I had torn all the cartilage at that point, so they told me I was eventually going to need a shoulder replacement. I'm thinking like 50 years old, maybe, not 37, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Damn. Well, by the time you're 50, though, you can just put your brain into a new cyborg body, and you'll be all brand new and fresh.
Yeah.
And then you get to pick things. you get to pick, like in life. You get to pick, everything you want your body to be. Your avatar.
Exactly. I'll have this big fat robot dick.
That's what I was just thinking. Like, oh shit.
You can stick it in anything except it rusts when it rains.
Yeah, except for it won't actually fit into any human girl.
No, it won't.
That's the thing,
I wish people were hearing us right now.
I know. Holy shit, my God.
Shut up.
All right, that was a half hour fucking wasted.
Did you fix it?
I think so.
Hallelujah.
Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Holla if you can hear me.
Hallelujah.
Oh yeah, it's working.
Yay. Okay, so we made it through the wilderness. Somehow we made it through.
Half hour later. I am so sorry, everyone. I have no idea.
We didn't know how lost we were.
I have no idea what was going on there.
This is Mercury retrograde. What are you expecting, Jerry? You're such a disbeliever, and it always happens to you.
I didn't expect that.
You have to give me a screen share.
Yeah, you got it.
So everyone, to catch everyone up, we've been talking about big dicks. We've been talking about cyber dicks. We talked about how great Micah's beard looks.
Yes.
What else did we talk about?
How fucked up this was.
We talked about Mercury Gatorade. So
Mercury Gatorade. We talked about Jordan Maxwell.
Yes.
Jordan Maxwell.
We talked about Grandpa. All right.
Everybody remember, if you're gonna merge with the machine and you're gonna get a big robot dick, it's gonna rust. So you have to make sure that you put some WD-40 on that shit.
I don't know what world you're coming from, but when in the world I'm going to, the robotics will be as real as our skin. So you know what I'm saying? It'll be self lubricating everything.
It'll probably be made out of silicone, if anything.
Something, or probably, who knows, bioorganics on top of robotics, a la Westworld.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. More human than human.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
moving on.
What did we say last time? Oh, okay. So
yeah, we said that people they can reference our old stuff.
They could reference our old video.
You're welcome to go through a quick refresher, which I think you wanted to do.
Which I'm going to do. I'm going to go over the 12 signs and what you have to look for in the zodiac. So the first sign is Aquarius, which is represented by the man with the water pitcher, as you can clearly see right here. Okay. Now, the man with the water pitcher is a story that goes back to Zeus. But basically, all you need to know is that Zeus immortalized the boy with the water pitcher pouring the ambrosia, which was the nectar of the gods, over the side of heaven. And if you hear the words fountain or stream or Baptist or running water or man or son of man or the sign of the man or just man in general, that's talking about Aquarius. Okay, then Pisces is the sign of the two fish in the water. Aries is the ram. And in Aries, you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day, 12-hour night. It's also the Passover, or the passing over of the sun over the equator and back on its way up to its height in the summer solstice. The Jewish people celebrate the Passover as God passing over Egypt and passing on judgment to the firstborn sons of the Egyptians. Okay. The Jewish people would smear the lamb's blood on the door, which goes back to the ram because they're the people of Aries, in order to protect them. In astrotheology, the passing over of the sun over the equator is on March 21st and on its way back to its height in the summer solstice. Now, in Christianity, the passing over is changed and called the resurrection of God's son. You have Easter and Passover, both always in Aries. Okay, so it's why the Jewish people, who are the people of Aries, blow the ram's horn to the sky, is because they're the people of Aries and they're signifying that. Now, Taurus is the bull, and when you look at the sky and you see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull so that you can plant the seed so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. Then Gemini is the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. Then Cancer is the crab, and it's the sideways moving creature. The crab moves like this. Okay, it moves side to side. We don't move side to side. We're bipedal, and we move forward, and we move maybe on an angle. We move backwards, but we don't typically walk sideways. That's just weird. And the reason that it's the crab is in Cancer is because in June 21st, that's when the sun is at its height. Okay, it's the summer solstice. And then for 3 consecutive days after that, it stays at that height. So the sun technically walks sideways. Then on June 25th, it lowers a degree. Then it continues to lower a degree every single day until it reaches December 21st, which is the winter solstice, which is the day that the sun dies. It's the lowest day of the year. The sun doesn't come out. It's the winter solstice, the longest night of the year. And then just like it walked sideways in June, December 21st, it walked sideways for 3 days. So they used to say God's son was dead. And then this is why God's son was dead for 3 days, is because the sun was dead. And then it comes back to life December 25th, which is why all the ancient gods are celebrated on December 25th. Then Leo is the king. He's the lion. He's the king. He's the ruler of the jungle. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So when they're talking about the kingdom of heaven being on earth, they're talking about the sun and its rightful home of Leo. Leo is the lion. So anytime you hear lion, Leo, cub, lioness, they're talking about Leo. Then Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk, as you can see in this picture. Remember before I said you plant in Taurus? Well, what happens is you plant in Taurus, and then when you see Virgo in the sky, you know that it's time for the virgins, or this is how it used to be 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. The virgins would go out and cultivate the wheat in Virgo because the wheat would have been fully grown, and then they end up making the bread for the year. Then Libra is the justice. It's the scales, it's the balance, it's the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. The Jews always celebrate the new year around the fall equinox. Okay, so anytime you hear law, judgment, tax, divorce, marriage, things of that nature, things that have to do with law or judgment, okay, that's Libra. Libra is also wine season, okay? So what you need to know also is that anytime you hear grapes or wine or juice, things of that nature, you're talking about grapes and you're talking about Libra, okay? It's also olive season. So when you talk about olives or oil, you're talking about Libra too. So there's a lot in Libra. In Virgo, it's the woman holding the wheat stalk. So anytime you hear wheat or barley or grain or things of that nature, they're talking about Virgo because that's when you get the grains and the wheat. So the Virgo is the bread and Libra is the wine. Then the Scorpio is the scorpion, and he is known as the betrayer. When a scorpion bites you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like a pair of lips. It's why the mafia has the kiss of death, and it's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with a kiss. He didn't point him out in a crowd. He didn't throw a rock at him. He didn't stone him. He didn't do any of that kind of stuff. He didn't hug him. He kissed him. And he did that because he represents Scorpio and Jesus represents the sun. So the sun is judged in Libra and it's betrayed in Scorpio. Finally, in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun and inflict further punishment on the sun. In the Bible, it's translated as a spear going into the side of God's son. And I've already explained to you that Sagittarius has December 21st. So anytime you hear death or horseman or horse rider, like the four horsemen, for example, there's four horsemen because there's four gospels where Sagittarius kills the sun. Okay? Jesus dies in four gospels. Okay, that's why there's four horsemen. The horseman or the bow and the arrow or the spear or things of that nature, that's talking about Sagittarius. And finally, Capricorn is the goat because the zodiac wheel, if you look at it at the bottom, you have Capricorn. And the sun climbs a degree a day every single day starting on December 25th on its way back to its heightened summer solstice. So it starts to climb up the metaphorical mountain just like Capricorn. It starts in Capricorn because the goat likes to climb the mountain. Does all that make sense? Because that's what I've got for this, and then I'm going to go into Enoch.
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Are there any questions in the chat? Does anybody have anything that they want to bring up?
Not yet.
Okay.
They get it.
Okay,
Well,
good.
Suzanne gets it.
Well, we have a very astute listener set.
Well, I can appreciate that. Okay, so this is the Book of Enoch. Okay.
Okay, wait. Let me put the zoom back.
I love the Book of Enoch.
All right.
You guys see this?
Yep.
Okay. Chapter 2. Ooh, sorry. Chapter 2.1. Observe ye everything that takes place in the heaven. Come on, what's going on here? Observe ye everything that takes place in the heaven, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in heaven, how they all rise and set in order in each season, and transgress not against their appointed order. This is talking about the zodiac and how the stars and the planets are fixed, how they do not change their orbits, how they rise and set in order of seasons, and transgress not against their appointed order. It's never going to go from Aquarius to Aries to Pisces. It's always going to be in order. Then chapter 8.2. Semjaza taught enchantments. Armoros, the resolving of enchantments. Barakiel taught astrology. Kokabel, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds. And Sariel, the course of the moon. chapter 14:11. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightnings, and between them was a fiery cherubim, and the heaven was clear as water. I mentioned the water before. Okay, there's two signs that it could be. It could be Aquarius with the water pitcher and the water, or it could be Pisces. So we're going to find out which one. And I entered that house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. The sun has entered either Aquarius or Pisces, as those are the winter months. The sun is both hot and in the middle of winter, so both cold as ice. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I have to move this because I can't see. Here we go. And I beheld a vision, 14:15, and I beheld a vision, and lo, there was a second house greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me, and it was built of flames of fire. And in every respect, it so excelled in splendor and magnificence and extent that I cannot describe to you its splendor and its extent. And its floor was of fire, and above it were lightnings in the path of the stars, and its ceilings was also flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a lofty throne. Its appearance was as crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun. So the sun is in its kingdom. It's in Leo, the dead of summer. The sun is the ruling planet of Leo, so that's its home. Also before, remember we were trying to figure out if it was Aquarius or Pisces? Now we know they were talking about Aquarius, not Pisces, because Leo and Aquarius are opposing signs. The two most important signs when you're referring to a sign and when you're decoding books like this are its neighboring sign and its cross sign. It will always follow that pattern. It will be one or the other. It will never go from like Aquarius to Gemini. That doesn't make any sense. And it just so happens that Leo is across from Aquarius. So 17.2, and they brought me to the place of darkness and to a mountain of point whose summit reached to heaven. They're talking about darkness, which is correlated to winter. So it's one of the winter months. And I saw the place of the luminaries and the treasuries of the stars and of the thunder, and in the uttermost depth, where were a fiery bow and arrow and their quiver. So the man with the arrow in his quiver is Sagittarius, okay, which is a winter month. So that's how you know they were talking about Sagittarius. So it's moving along in the zodiac in its progression. So what's next? 17:4. And they took me to the living water and to the fire of the west. So we were just in Sagittarius. Okay. And they took me to the living waters into the fire of the west. So you continue to walk along the zodiac wheel. Aquarius and Pisces are on the left side of the zodiac, therefore the west. The sun is now back to the water sign. 18.2. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the four winds which bear the earth and the firmament of heaven. The four winds are the cross that the entire zodiac has. So what you do is you take the solstices and the equinox and you connect them on a zodiac wheel, and it makes a perfect cross. That's the cross of God's Son. That's the cross that Jesus dies on, lives and dies on. Connecting the equinoxes and the cross forms a perfect cross. And I saw how the winds stretch out of the vaults of heaven. I saw the winds of heaven which turn and bring circumference of the sun and all the stars to their setting. 18:13. I saw there 7 stars like great burning mountains, and to me when I inquired regarding them. Nish, do you know what the 7 stars are?
Pleiades?
Yep. They're called the 7 sisters, but they're
Yes.
whenever they mention the 7 stars, they're talking about the Pleiades.
Yeah.
It's important to know that at the time the book of Enoch was written, which was I think about 200 AD, it's important to know that we know now that there's 88 constellations, including the 12 zodiac. Okay, the 12 zodiac are included in the 88 constellations that make up our Milky Way. However, or our general area where we are. However, at the time that this was written, only 48 constellations were known. So there's going to be some constellations that just aren't in here that you think that they would be. But I just wanted to let you guys know that that's why.
I think the Pleiades was in the Old Testament.
It was.
In the book of Job.
In the book of Job 38:32, it says, can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt?
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are 2 obvious metaphors. And you guys remember last time I did the book of Job, I went through God's response to him.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
The star of the 7 sisters. It's always how I've thought of it.
Yes.
And Suzanne brought up that she thinks it's the 7 hills of Rome, too.
Well, that's why they were 7 hills of Rome built.
Yeah.
These are ruled from something called Capitoline Hill. And one of the hills was the hills of where they had all the money, okay, where they basically did all the money transactions. He had to walk through it every day in order to get to Capitoline Hill, where the Senate would meet. And now the Senate meets in America on Capitol Hill. Okay, so it was the 7 hills, absolutely. But every time you hear 7, I like to think that it's the Pleiades, usually.
Yeah, that's where my head goes.
46:1. And there I saw one who had a head of days, and his head was white like wool. So follow me. Wool is sheep. Sheep is Aries, okay? And with him was another being whose countenance had the appearance of a man. 46:3. This is the Son of Man who hath righteousness. I mentioned the Son of Man. The sign of the man is Aquarius. Okay, so the Son of Man, sign of man. When the sun is in Aquarius, is known as the Son of Man. When the sun is in Pisces, he's known as the Fisherman of Men. When the sun is in Aries, he's known as the Lamb of God. When the sun is in Leo, he's known as the Lion of Judah. When the sun is in Virgo, he's known as, he was born of a virgin, and he's known as the bread of life. When the sun is in Libra, he's known as the just one, as in justice, right?
Yes.
So the Son of Man is Aquarius. So you have Aquarius and Aries.
Go back. What's the relevance of the two together, Aries and Aquarius?
It's not relevant. It's just encoded information about the stars.
Okay.
Okay, because you have to understand is that when you're reading a sentence that you're supposed to be taking literally, like they expect you to take with this, okay, if you've encoded something under it, one of the two is not going to read well. Like when you read the Bible, sometimes literally it doesn't always make sense unless you understand the stars and you can decode it the way that I've done it. However, usually either the main narrative suffers or there's no correlation to it. It's just part of a story. So the fact that they used Aries and Aquarius were just examples here.
Got it.
48:1. And in the place I saw the fountain of righteousness. Well, we know that the fountain is Aquarius because I mentioned that before. And all the thirsty drank of them and were filled with wisdom. And at that hour, the Son of Man was named. That's another reference to Aquarius. You see how this is starting to work just like the Bible, the book of Enoch?
Yep.
Yes.
49:1. For wisdom is poured out like water. That's Aquarius. 49:4. And he shall judge the secret things. Libra, the scales of justice. Remember judging, judgment, all that stuff?
Yes.
That's Libra. And in those days, the mountains leap like rams. Well, that's Aquarius. That's Aries. And the hills shall also skip like lambs. That's also Aries. Satisfied with milk. The Milky Way galaxy. And the center of the Milky Way galaxy is in Sagittarius. So I don't know if I mentioned this before, but in Cancer, there's a group of stars called the Beehive Cluster. Okay? So that's where you get the honey from. Whenever they mention honey in the Bible, they're talking about the Beehive Cluster, which they knew about back then. When they're talking about milk or butter or milk-based things, that's coming from the Milky Way galaxy, which is in Sagittarius. So your land from Cancer to Sagittarius is your proverbial land of milk and honey. It's all celestial. It's not a literal place of literal milk and honey.
Yeah.
That they may break forth as lions from their lairs, that's Leo, and as hungry wolves among their flocks, that's the constellation Lupus, which means wolf in Latin. But the city of my righteousness shall be a hindrance to their horses. Well, the horse is Sagittarius, the man on the horse, right?
Yes.
In those days, mine eyes saw the secrets of the lightnings and of the lights and the judgments they execute. The secrets of the lightnings and of the lights and the judgments they execute. It's a metaphor talking about Libra, the judge. This was 59:1, by the way. 60.7. And on that day were two monsters parted, a female monster named Leviathan. Do you remember in the book of Job where God says, can you pull in Leviathan with a fish hook?
I don't know that I recall that. But now you're bringing it back, so.
It's the last sentence of God's challenge to Job, or God's response to Job. It's important to know too, the book of Job is actually the oldest book of the Bible. It predates Genesis. It was only put in place during the Council of Jamnia in 100 AD. That's a conversation for a different time though. But basically, Leviathan is the fish god, if you've ever known your ancient history, to dwell in the abyss of the ocean over the fountains of water. Talking about Pisces, the two fish, the two water monsters, two monsters parted, a female monster named Leviathan, Leviathan the fish god. So they're two water monsters, so they're two fish, Pisces, and Aquarius, the fountains of water. Make sense?
Yes.
What's the other monster?
It's not named.
Okay.
Not named. They just have this one named. But as you can see, it says on that day were two monsters parted.
Right. It's probably Cthulhu.
You'd like that.
I would like that.
Well, it did make me think of Dagon and all that stuff.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Fish god. The
Yes. Yeah.
The Pope on there. The Pope on his head has something called a mitre.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Which goes back to Mithra. Mitre goes
Yes.
back to Mithra, which is a fish god. But Dagon, the Pope's hat, if you put it down and you turn it sideways, it looks like a fish head. Because Dagon, the ancient fish god, they used to wear the fish in the scales.
Yeah, it's juicy. Another thing I wanted to ask earlier, when we were talking about Job, is Job's tears, like the whole idea behind that.
Listening.
Well, I'm asking you.
Yeah, you're the expert.
So what's the whole idea behind Job's tears? And I remember, well, I don't want to get into what I remember, but I was just curious if that rings any bells for you, Micah.
Well, you got to understand is that what I'm reading to you is not the entire book. Not everything is encoded with astrotheology. Okay, some of it is like filler for a story because you still need a story there. Like even here in this, and on the two monsters parted to dwell in the. Okay, so the sentence is pretty filled, but here we go. They have learned all the secrets of the Satans and of all the violence of the Satans. Okay, that is not astrotheology. Okay, so it's just some of it is just story. So when they're talking about his tears, it could mean something, but I'm not really sure.
Okay.
But it's important to know here, Satan in Hebrew means adversary. Okay, that's its original meaning. Hashatan in Hebrew. So two UFC fighters, two basketball teams, those are Satans to one another. That's all Satan means. Satan is a devil with a red pitchfork. In fact, the earliest depictions of the devil were actually in blue, not red. The earliest drawings of Satan, when they started drawing it, red came later. So I don't know.
And blue shuffled over from the Indian gods as well. So a lot of Indian deities are blue. There's that whole sect of them.
Correct. 69:20. And through that oath, the sun and the moon complete their course, and deviate not from their ordinance from eternity to eternity. And through the oath, the stars complete their course, and he calls them by their names, and they answer him from eternity to eternity. And in the matter of the spirits of the water and of the winds and of all the zephyrs, and in their paths for all the quarters of the winds. Okay, so when they're talking about the quarters of the winds, they're talking about a quarter of the zodiac. They're talking about when you split the zodiac by the solstices and the equinox, that's a quarter for each season.
Yes,
Okay.
the gates of the avatar.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Also the cardinal directions too.
Yes.
Well, the avatar is
cardinal-
the fixed signs.
Yes. Revelation 4:7 talks about this monster having a head of a lion.
Leo.
Exactly.
It's
A
just
head of
like
an ox.
Chimera.
Yeah, it has a head of a lion, a head of an ox, which is Taurus, a
Yeah.
head of a man, which is Aquarius,
Mhm.
and the head of an eagle. Okay.
Scorpio.
Exactly. Now, to explain that for people who don't know, the scorpion is the belly-crawling creature on Earth. It's the lowest form of life on Earth. Okay, much like God cursed the snake to crawl on his belly after the betrayal in the Garden of Eden. However, in astrology, the Scorpio evolves and becomes the eagle, which is the highest flying creature on Earth. Okay, so it really evolves. Okay, so when you take the lion, the bull, the man, and Scorpio, the scorpion, or the eagle, I should say,
what you do is, those are the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac that you just mentioned. Okay? So basically what it does is it forms a perfect X through the cross that the solstices and the equinox make. So we're at the book of the course of the heavenly luminaries. 72:3. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun sets. The sun sits in each sign for 2 hours a day, making 12 signs times 2 equals our 24-hour day. 72:14. On that day, the day becomes longer than the night, and the day becomes double the night, and the day becomes 12 parts, and the night is shortened and becomes 6 parts. They're talking about the summer solstice, June 21st, the longest day of the year. 72:20. On that day, the day is equalized with the night and becomes of equal length. They're talking about the equinoxes. 72:26. And on that day, the night becomes longer and amounts to double of the day. That's the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, December 21st, the day that the sun dies. 82:19. And the sheep pair and become pregnant, and all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and everything that is in the fields and the winepress. These things take place in the days of his dominion. The sheep represents Aries, and its cross sign, very important, is Libra, which is the wine season. That's why they mentioned the winepress. 87:4. And one said unto me, remain here till thou seest everything that befalls those elephants and camels and asses and the stars and the oxen and all of them. The elephant nebula is in Cephas. Camelopardalis borders Cephas, and it's in Gemini. Ocellus borealis, or the northern donkey. Boots is the ox constellation. Or it could also be Taurus, but Boots is known as the ox. 89:12. But that bull, Taurus, which was born from him, begat a black wild boar. The Andromeda constellation, or boar, and a white sheep, Aries. You see how they mentioned 3 areas right there in the stars in one sentence? 90.31. And thereafter those 3 who were clothed in white and had seized me by my hand, who had taken me up before, and the hand of the ram, Aries, also seizing hold of me, they took me up and set me down in the midst of those sheep, Aries, before the judgment took place, Libra. Those are opposing signs. I mentioned before, it's always going to be talking about opposing signs or neighboring signs. 96:05:06. Woe to you who devour the finest of the wheat. That's Virgo, the lady with the wheat stalk. And drink wine in large bowls. That's Libra. Those are neighboring signs. Woe to you who drink water from every fountain. That's Aquarius. So you just continue going along the zodiac. First it starts in Virgo, then Libra. Then you go past Scorpio, past Sagittarius, past Capricorn, and then you hit Aquarius. So it's just following a pattern. Then we have the appendix, 108:15, the last words. And the sinner shall cry aloud and see them resplendent, as they indeed will go where the days and season are prescribed for them. Again, they're just talking about the zodiac and the constellations. Oh, that's it. Okay. So that's the book of Enoch, guys.
Well, that was a hot 3 minutes.
It was 30 minutes.
No, I'm just kidding. It was falling on. That was good. I very much enjoyed that.
So when you
does it make sense in the same way that my first presentation with how this is broken down makes sense? Do you see how all these books are all encoded the same way?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's really great dot connecting. And one of the things I think when you start to bring this information to people is it's like everything, when you see it, it becomes obvious. Like it's
almost too simple, right?
Yes. Yep. But until you're there, until you understand the symbols and how they correspond to the context of the celestial black mirror above us, it can be mysterious until you understand these symbols.
And it's kept that way. Jesus says, for those who have ears to hear and eyes to see, or he might have switched that.
Yes.
That's what it means. Like, some of you will get it, some of you won't.
So I've got a question. In the end, how is all of this now relevant to where we are?
It's
in
not. It
space-time.
just proves that there's nothing. Look, I believe in God. Okay, I believe in a creator. I don't know if I'm separate from the creator. I tend to fall somewhere in between. God is infinite, so I'm a part of it. And what Einstein said, where he said that he believes in the God of Spinoza. And the God of Spinoza would say, don't meet in a temple, don't put nice clothes on and pray to me for adoration amongst other people. Go out and enjoy the river, the mountains, everything that I've created. So I kind of fall between both of those. But this, to me, just proves that the Bible is not to be taken literally, that's for sure. I mean, guys, I can come back. I could do the book of Raziel. I could do the book of Revelation. I could do the Enuma Elish, which is the Babylonian creation story, okay, which has nothing to do with the Bible, but it's completely astrotheological as well.
Hey, we got another hour. You could do one of them now if you want.
Let's see. Hold on.
And Suzanne had a question, which I'm trying to understand.
Let's do this. Let's do the book of Revelation. I don't know how long this is going to be, but
Ooh,
I don't know if
I'm very excited about. I was excited about the book of Enoch, but I'm very excited about Revelation.
I have questions first before we move on.
All right,
so Suzanne wanted to know.
Can you guys see this?
I see nothing.
All right, hold on. I gotta fix this shit. Hold on.
Thou must share screen.
Thou must share screen.
So the question was, if you look at the position of the constellations from Earth,
Is this a literal? Is this a general?
She's suggesting that there's a code, and she went on to say it's possibly Morse code. Which is there Morse code in the celestial events? There you go.
Well, it's interesting because in my second book, The Sacred Stones, the pyramids are free energy transmitting devices which transmit Morse code, because that would be the legitimate. If you could manipulate light, that's how you would do it. You would do it with a code.
Yeah.
You know, so but that's in my book. You know, I don't know if it's. I couldn't tell you if Morse code is actually in the Bible. I don't think it is, because it was only really invented about 150, 200 years ago.
Right. And then let's see. Are you influenced at all by? How influenced are you by Rudolf Steiner?
Oh, I've never heard of him.
Okay.
Actually, I've heard of him, but
you don't
I've
know
never
his work.
Any of his stuff now.
All right. Let me put this back on for you. All right, Book of Revelation. Go for it.
I'm gonna go pee real quick.
Go pee.
Okay. I'm not bringing the computer with me this time, though.
That's okay.
No.
We can all listen to my kitty.
Jer, how packed up are you? What's the plan for Florida? So it's a month away. How?
I brought a load of stuff down a couple weeks ago, like books and knickknacks, and I haven't really packed anything else since then.
Dude, you're gonna wait for the last minute, aren't you?
I'm horrible with that. I got so much shit to go. Like, my garage is full of stuff that I moved from my last place 10 years ago that I haven't even opened those boxes since then. My basement is full of shit from my parents' house that they sent me that I haven't ever gone through. I just have so much stuff to go through, and it's one of my personal problems is when I have like daunting tasks, I just kind of lock up and don't do them.
That's actually rather common.
I'm sure it is. So it's always like, I'll do it tomorrow or I'll do it over the weekend. And then the weekend comes like, I'm too tired to do this.
Yeah. Well, this is a big job, though. You have that whole house full of shit.
Right. And I'm not bringing 80% of it because...
I know, but you still have to deal with it. You can't leave the landlord to deal with it.
No. I'm gonna clean the house out. I mean, that's not the problem. I've got the stuff picked out that I'm moving. Like, I'm bringing my bedroom set and a chair. And I'm gonna ditch my desk. I'll probably bring. I don't know. I'm gonna buy a new desk. I hate this desk. So
bring hooks if you're gonna kill some alligators.
Bring what?
So bring some hooks if you're gonna get some alligators.
Hooks? Oh, I got an alligator killer right here. Where is it?
What is it? What? Your cat?
No. Check this out. This is my alligator killer.
Jesus.
Oh my God. What in the hell?
It's a zombie killer machete.
I know, that's awesome. That thing is badass.
It's fucking sharp too.
It looks scary. When did you get that?
Long time ago.
Dude.
I was prepping for the zombie apocalypse, you know.
Jerry's not fucking around.
No way. Got my gun.
That'll give someone the agita for sure.
I'm sure.
Okay, Revelation. I'm so excited about this.
All
Are
right.
you?
Yeah, I love this book.
Okay, well, I'm going to show you it in a different light.
We'll see. This book is one of my favorites because it's so juicy.
Okay. Oh, I have to move this again. Hold on. Our little screen is not big enough. Oh, that's even better. I turned around to see a voice that was speaking to me, and when I turned, I saw 7 gold lampstands. And among the lampstands was someone like a son of man, dressed in a robe reaching down to his feet, and with a golden sash around his chest. The hair on his head was white like wool, and white like snow. His eyes were like a blazing fire. His feet were like bronze glowing in a furnace, and his voice was like the sound of rushing waters. In his right hand he held 7 stars, and coming out of his mouth was a sharp double-edged sword. His face was like the sun shining in all its brilliance. So, did you pick up on a few?
Yes, of course, it's so encoded. I mean, we could just go right off on the 7 stars again, right?
Yep. Among the lampstands was someone like the Son of Man. This references Aquarius, the sign of the man, the Son of Man, with a golden sash around his chest, the sun in Aquarius. It's a metaphor. These are all metaphors, and it's beautiful poetry is what it is.
It is.
Okay. Hair on his head was white like wool, which comes from a sheep or a ram, referencing Aries. His eyes were like a blazing fire. Now it's talking about the blazing sun in Aries. His voice was like the sound of rushing waters. This is referencing Aquarius again. In his right hand, he held 7 stars. This is literally speaking about the Pleiades. We went over this already. The first living creature was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third had a face like a man. The fourth was like a flying eagle. So I'm not going to go over that again, okay?
So wait, what was that? What was that thing that had that? Was that an angel?
I'm confused.
The beast. The thing that had 3 heads.
I misspoke before. It didn't have 3 heads. There was different
7.
animals.
What?
Oh, wait. I'm confused. You know?
Okay,
Hello?
my question
Hello?
is this living creature, where did it come from and what is it?
I have no idea what it is. It's supposedly people think it's a real animal, but it's not. It's a metaphor.
And it doesn't represent an angel, right? I thought didn't Enoch see some kind of weird ass thing that he thought that
Yes,
Enoch saw the
realize that
cherubim.
what I'm putting out there is the books are encoded astrology. Anything outside of the astrology is a story.
Okay.
Everything outside of astrology is a story. Revelation 5:5. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scrolls and its 7 seals. The Lion of Judah, Jesus Christ, is the Son of God. Also, the Lion of Judah, or Leo, the sun rules the planet Leo and is able to open the scrolls and the 7 seals again," referencing the Pleiades. The Pleiades are in Taurus, by the way. Revelation 6:1. I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." The Lamb of God, the sun has opened the first seal while in Aries. And I have to mention that it has to be in Aries because the zodiac year starts in Aries. The year begins in Aries. You know how we have September, October, November, December, Sept, Oct, Nov, Des, or Dec?
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
7, 8, which means 7, 8, 9, 10, even
Right.
though they don't line up with the calendar.
Well, they used to.
They do through the zodiac.
Mm-hmm.
They do if you start the year in Aries. That's why it's celebrated on March 21st. That's
Right.
a big deal.
Yeah. The original Roman calendar the first month was March.
Exactly.
No, I think the Gregorian calendar changed it, or was it the Julian calendar changed it?
Wasn't it April?
No, it was March 1st. It correlated. I don't know if it was March 1st, but it was March. January and February were added by It was either Julius Caesar or the Gregorians. I don't remember which.
Okay.
But that's why, like, September, October, November are 7, 8, 9.
Right. And it works the same way with the zodiac. Now,
Yep.
that's why the sun opens the first seal while in Aries. It's the first sign.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Revelation.
there's the whole lunar calendar, which is based, and of course, Jewish people still follow this.
Jewish
Aren't you
people
Jewish?
follow the lunar calendar. Yeah. That's
You're
why you have
Jewish.
that's why you have a moon day during the
Yeah.
week.
And we've got a solid 28 days. The lunar calendar always made more sense. It still makes more sense.
Well, you know, the lunar calendar, so the moon governs the tides of the water. The moon is feminine energy. Okay? It's magnetic. Okay, the sun is electric. That's masculine. The moon is feminine. The moon has a 28-day cycle, 13 in a month.
Yes.
And it just so happens that so do women.
Yes.
You know, and the moon governs the tides of the ocean. We're 70% water. It guides the tide of us too. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot here with all that.
Yep. Absolutely. Revelation 6:2. And I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow. Well, we know that's Sagittarius, right? Before the Lamb stood Sagittarius, the white horse. It's rider with the bow and the arrow. Okay, Sagittarius is where the sun dies. This is the first of the 4 horsemen. I mentioned in earlier that the 4 horsemen represent Jesus dying 4 times, right? 4 gospels, 4 deaths, 4 Sagittarius, 4 horsemen, right? The 4 horsemen show the
4, like the gates of the Avatar. It's 4 is a big number, especially when we're looking at it symbolically like this.
Revelation 6:6. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the 4 living creatures saying, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine. I mean, you guys get it, right?
Yeah.
It's so clear. 2 pounds of wheat and 6 pounds of barley. Okay. Oh, it doesn't look like I translated this one, but I'll do it in real time. Hold
You
on.
bastard.
2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages. That's Virgo, the wheat stalk. Okay. And do not damage the oil and the wine. Well, I just told you that olives and wine is Libra. Those are neighboring signs, which is why they metaphorically wrote this way. Revelation 6:12. I watched as he opened the 6th seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like a sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned blood red, and the stars in the sky fell to earth as figs dropped from a fig tree when shaken by a strong wind. The sun turned black like a sackcloth made of goat hair. The moon turned blood red. Figs dropped from a fig tree. Goat is Capricorn, and it's black because Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn, which is known as the Black Planet. The Jews wear a black cube on their forehead. The Muslims worship around the Kaaba, which is a black cube. It's Saturn worship. The moon turned blood red. Directly across of Capricorn's cross sign is Cancer, whose ruling planet is the moon. First time figs are good to eat in June or Cancer. The second time they are good to eat is August and October, basically Libra. Revelation 7:4. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. Nish, have you heard this passage?
The one that you just read?
144.
Yes. Yes.
Now, you know that there's some sects in Christianity that literally believe that 144,000 people is all that gets to heaven.
Yes, there's a lot of woo around that.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say about that?
There are 7 chakras. The root has 4 petals. The sacral has 6. The solar plexus has 10. The heart has 12, and the throat has 16, which equals 48. The third eye chakra is represented by 96 and only has 2 petals because it's 2 times as powerful as the lower chakras. So 48 times 2 equals 96. The crown chakra is 1,000 times more powerful than the lower 6 chakras. When you add the lower 6, you get 96 plus 48, 144. You multiply that by the crown, and that's 1,000, and you get 144,000. That's why when you've activated all your chakras, you're committed to God. You end up getting to see God. You go to heaven. Okay? It's important to know that Christ is Christos in Greek, which means oil. Okay? So does that make sense?
It sure does.
And there's people that literally believe no matter what you do in life, Only 144,000 people are going to go to heaven.
Yeah. There's a lot of woo around that, as I said. There are a lot of there's a lot of woo around it, and all kinds of different
interpretations.
Yeah, that don't even have a bridge, like
Right.
so, but it's a big deal, and it's certainly something I think most people listening here will be familiar with, the nuance involved with the 144.
Right. Revelation 9:3, and out of the smoke locusts came down on the earth and were given power like that of scorpions on earth. The locusts came down on earth and were given power like scorpions, given power like Scorpio. Now, who was Scorpio again? Scorpio was the betrayer. Okay? So the locusts came down and were given the power of the betrayer. Okay?
But that betrayer, as we know from our earlier chit chat on this, Scorpio goes through that transmutation from a scorpion to an eagle. So it eventually gets to the higher ground. It gets to a transcendent state.
You know what? Once it becomes the eagle, do you know what it becomes after that?
Lay it on us.
The phoenix. And what is the story of the phoenix? The story of the phoenix is basically a flaming fire,
just like rises from the fire.
Yes, just like it's a flaming fire, just like Jesus, just like the sun.
You're roboting on my end.
You were roboting too.
Are we good now?
Yeah. And the phoenix tears can heal Harry Potter.
Jerry, I'm roboting?
You were.
Okay, so wait, Micah, go back and give us the phoenix again, because that roboted out, and I want people listening back.
So the eagle evolves into the phoenix. Okay, so it's Scorpio, eagle, phoenix. And the phoenix is the creature that's on fire, okay, that dies and rises from his ashes, just like Jesus does, just like the sun does every year.
There's also an association with the phoenix to the three higher angelic orders, so the cherubim and the seraphim and those up by the altar of God.
Right. Well, I'm not too familiar with that, to be honest. I'll have to look into that. That's interesting. Revelation 9:7, the locusts looked like horses prepared for battle. On their heads they wore something like crowns of gold, and their faces resembled human faces. Their hair was like women's hair, and their teeth were like lions' teeth. They had tails with stingers like scorpions. Again, do you see all of them before I even go through this?
Yeah.
Okay. The locusts looked like Sagittarius. They wore a crown of gold, or the sun in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the man on the horse with a bow and arrow. Their faces resemble human faces, which is Aquarius. Okay. Their teeth were like the teeth of lions, or a Leo. They had stingers like scorpions. Revelation 12. Now, you remember this one? The woman with the red dragon. Do you remember this?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we're all coming to see her.
Yeah. I'm going to break
it's a quote from Revelation, though. Come and see.
I'm going to break this down for you. A great sign appeared in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on its head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. A sign appeared, the sun in Virgo with the moon under her feet. If the sun is in a sign, the moon is directly under it. So basically, if we read this like this, okay, let's do it like this. The sun spends 2 hours a day in each sign, 12 signs, 24-hour clock, okay? If the sun is in Virgo, that's roughly from 4 to 6 p.m. The sun is still out. If the sun is still out, then the moon would be at her feet, right?
Yes.
Okay. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared. An enormous red dragon appeared. That's the constellation Draco, whose tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius, or 1/3 of the stars out of the sky. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. Does that make sense?
It sure does.
Revelation 13:2. The beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear and mouth like that of a lion. There's a constellation called Camelopardalis. It can reference a camel, camelos, and a leopard, pardalis. The giraffe was called the camel leopard. So the best resembled Camelopardalis, but he had the feet of a bear. That's Ursa Major, and Ursa Minor represents the great bear and her cubs. Revelation 13:1-1. Then I saw a second beast coming out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. The second beast coming out of the earth had a head like Aries, but it spoke like dragon. Draco is in Aries. Go figure. In astrology, I haven't gone this over yet, but if you wrap the human body around the zodiac, it always starts with the head in Aries and the feet end up in Pisces. The ruling planet of Aries is the Mars, which is the god of war. That's where you get hot-headed from. And the feet are in Pisces, which is the water, which is still winter. It's not spring. So that's where you get the phrase cold feet from. So that's where hot-headed and cold feet come from.
Very interesting on that.
Revelation 18:13. Cargoes of cinnamon and spice, of incense, myrrh and frankincense, of wine and oil, of fine flour and wheat, cattle and sheep, horses and carriages, and humans being sold as slaves. Wine and olive oil are September or Libra. Flour and wheat is Virgo with the wheat stalk. Cattle and sheep are Taurus and Aries. Horses are Sagittarius, and human beings are the sign of Aquarius. That's the book of Revelation.
Well, I very much enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's cool. So have you done all the books of the Bible?
I'm working on it. It's a very long book.
Yeah, for sure.
If I come across a passage that I notice something in, I'll write it down, maybe put it in a presentation.
So have you done any of the other apocryphal books besides Enoch?
I've done the book of Raziel. I've done the book of Thomas. I've done...
Oh, I love the Thomas one. What about the Magdalene stuff?
I still have to look into those. I have all of those. And it's all going to be the same thing. You know, at this point.
Yeah, yes. Right. You've given us the code that basically the template. So it's kind of like plug and play.
It is. I'm telling you, the Bible and all the apocryphal texts are basically a farmer's almanac.
So basically is your theory that this was all to preserve the astrological information? What's the whole point of all this? Like of the Bible. So when you look at it from your view,
it's a control mechanism. You know, you write in God, you pillage the land, and you basically convert people to believe after 325 AD, convert people to believe in literal Christianity. Okay, because before then they were known as Helionostics, which in Greek, Helios is the sun and Gnosis is knowers. They were sun worshippers. Everybody knew this, okay? But as time passed and more time passed, people started taking the Bible more literally, which the ancients would probably roll over in their grave. The elites did this. The elites created this in order to, it's a control mechanism, okay? And the hidden information is basically this information that I told you. It's all the stars and all the systems. I mean, some passages are just so full of it. It's so hard to imagine reading it in a different way.
But what, so
they encoded all this information to preserve the knowledge in the control mechanism. So they kind of snuck it in. You're saying they snuck it. Yeah, okay. Besides the knowledge being there, is there a message in the encoding?
It's just encoded information. It doesn't lead towards a sub-story.
Okay.
But see, this is where, I mean, it's like, you know, that's like, so all this information's encoded. It's all juicy. It's all about the astrology above our heads and how, and it ties into the control grid, but then nothing. It's like basically working me up and then I can't come. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point?
Have you ever written something before?
I have. I'm a writer.
Have you ever encoded something in the way this is encoded? Because I have.
I have. I've got a whole backlog of music videos that are deeply encoded. I love
music videos are
in
easier because
that
they're visual.
Right. I've used visuals and I've used in my audio tracks. So in my audio tracks, some of them actually have Morse code and different set frequencies and
Right, but the
backwards.
Bible was written though. Have you ever written anything?
I have 3 books I've written.
Okay. No, but
And
have
I
you
took
ever?
a lot of writing classes in college.
No, I understand. I just meant, have you ever encoded something the way the Bible is? Because
Yes.
my point is it's very hard to tell a story with a semi-functioning, linear way of writing so that it sounds like a story, and then having a completely different sub-story. One of those two is going to have to bend a little bit. You can't have a perfectly encoded book within a straight read.
Which is why the Bible doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes.
There you go, because the literal translations kind of they gave way.
But we have actual styles of writing called creative writing and different styles that braided poetry and stuff like this, where we can get complex ideas woven into a seemingly normal storyline.
Right.
Like this is stuff I learned in college. And so and I like mystery and I like presenting mystery. And so this is all stuff that's familiar to me. It's stuff that inspires my art forms. And so, but it just seems it just seems like a lot of effort that doesn't lead anywhere in the end with what you're postulating.
It doesn't have to lead anywhere if it was just preserving the knowledge of pre-Christianity. And I'm sure there were people who knew it was there who passed it on to their descendants.
But it seems like, and so I please don't take this as critical because I really love what you're doing. It seems like there should be, it seems to me like all this effort to preserve information, the information's obviously important enough to do that. And that at the base of the mysteries is still a mystery. I mean, that's one of the things that I get from just reading Rumi. I mean, I could go back and Sappho and all this. It seems like there's got to be more than just the preservation. There's a mystery to unfold. And I think that there's more to it than just decoding. Does that make sense?
I think that's well-wishing, to be honest with you. But
I respect that. I totally do. My poor voice is about to give out totally.
It's fine. I've got about 5 minutes left, guys.
Cool. So I wanted to ask you if you were a flat earther or not.
No.
Are you a round earther?
You paused.
I don't think about it, to be honest.
Okay.
It's not really, I don't really, I have a very specific niche and I kind of just stick to it.
Okay.
I don't talk politics on podcasts. Obviously I talk religion, but I don't talk politics.
Yeah, no worries. We avoided politics too, for the most part. I'm just curious
flat
because
Earth is in the Bible, isn't it? Isn't flat Earth in the Bible?
It's referenced a few places. Yeah, it's referenced, and
just because it is doesn't make it right.
True.
Oh no, that's not my point.
No, and I'm not a flat earther either. I'm just asking because the zodiac kind of works well on a flat plane.
What I find weird, is no one, like, I talk about religion in this way, and I don't get much pushback from the religious people or just people getting angry and reaching out to me. I don't get much of that at all. But nobody gets angrier with you than a flat earther who's trying to convert you.
This is true. Well, it's just another religion. As is politics.
You want to talk about something with no purpose? Okay, no purpose.
What?
Even if you could prove that the Earth is flat, what does that accomplish?
Nothing.
How's that going to change anything?
It won't.
It's just a waste of time to me.
It doesn't matter what the shape is. That's why I'm shape agnostic.
I don't see shape. I appreciate that though, and I would imagine a lot of biblical scholars would find what you're doing very interesting, in fact. I'm not a biblical scholar, but I do find the Bible, the canon and the apocryphal stuff. I always fuck that word up. So interesting and juicy, and I came to it late, and I'm really enjoying it. And so I'm enjoying all these different avenues to expansion of what's going on with it, like you're bringing forth.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, thanks. This has been great, and thanks so much for doing that extra Book of Revelations part.
Yeah, no problem. Let me just plug where.
I was going to just ask you if you want to go ahead and plug all your stuff.
Fine. I'm on Twitter at Real Mr. Dank. I'm at Facebook and Instagram at Micah Dank.
Mm-hmm.
My book series is Into the Rabbit Hole. The 5th book comes out in 6 days. And
Wow.
Yes. And basically, you can get it on Amazon, but if you don't want to go through Bezos, that's fine. You can reach out to me direct, and I sign and sell direct too.
Is that on your website? Can you get those?
Well, I don't have a website. You have to reach out to me.
Okay.
Directly.
But getting signed stuff is always so fun, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Getting it directly from you would be cool.
Yeah, everyone go buy Micah's book and get it signed.
It's a pleasure to have you, Micah, and thank you for bringing more of this very juicy information to us and being open to some of my putting the magnifying glass up to it.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. I don't think everything's going to be a walk in the park.
Yeah, we love it. It's great. And thanks, everyone. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And thank you for dealing with all of our Mercury retrograde.
Sorry about that.
beginning.
Yeah, that's okay. At least we figured it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks you. And thank you, Micah. And thanks everyone for listening. And thank you, Nish. And we will see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.